Okay, class. So this is optimization and related rates na lecture, and this is under the application of derivatives. So isa na ako lecture tanan, kinapon mo take from quiz ani. Okay. So this is kind of tricky, but in a way, if you really know how to apply the derivatives, the knowledge of derivatives, and you know how to analyze a problem, makuha na ganyan siya class. Okay. So let's start first with optimization. So what is optimization? This is the process of applying mathematical principles to real-world problems to identify an ideal or optimal outcome. And ma-apply niya siya sa under aning mga areas as manufacturing, production, so on and so forth, engineering, so on and so forth. Okay. So when you say optimization, of course, the root word is optimize, diba? So how do we optimize something? When you say optimize, how do we maximize something? O pwede sa minimize, basta katong extreme ba? For example, how do you optimize your time, your 1 hour, for example, to study as much as you can? To study, for example, 3 chapters na gihatag sa inyong maestro. How do you optimize your 1 hour or your 1 day para masulod na tanan si mga okay? So, inga na nga, pero medyo vague rin, ano? But let's have a more realistic siguro nga problem. Okay. Let's start first with this. So, suppose I give each one of you 20-inch wire. Okay. So, daan ako ang solution class, pero ayos na i-mind. Okay. From this, you need to create a rectangle. How will you divide the dimensions so that the area will be a maximum? First is, of course, imagine, visualize a class. Tagaan na ito mag 20 inches na wire. From this, kailangan mo mag-create of rectangle. Kailangan mo mag-create of rectangle from that. So, kung 20 inches na, kung sa man ang inyong ma-relate karon sa 20 inches sa imong rectangle. Of course, 20 inches is the length sa imong wire. So, kung imo na imong rectangle, that is the perimeter of your rectangle. Okay? Now, the problem now is, unsaon na nimo siya pag-divide ang dimension so that the area will be maximum. Okay? Now, kanina pilandaan class, there are so many ways to create a rectangle from this 20-inch na wire, di ba? Pwede ka mag-create o unsa man. For example, this is 4 by 4 by 6 by 6. Tama ba? Tama. Okay? Kana 20 man ang total ana, di ba? Pwede sad ka unsa man 5 by 5. Okay? 5 square is a rectangle class, okay? Mag-consider ka po ni. Pwede sad ka unsa man 7 by 3, di ba? This is the rectangle and ayaha pong perimeter ana is 20. The problem is unsa ka nga dimension ang makahatag daw og maximum nga area kanang area ani. Okay? So man na to, lisod pud mag trial and error ta pero may class. Okay, there is a process. So man, if we want to get the maximum area from the kuan class, from the equation na to, of course, unsa man yung mahunaan if you are to find a maximum value. Di ba we can relate that to derivatives? Okay? Katong maximum ng mga area class, kana nga points sa graph, ang iyang derivative is 0. Okay? So, unsa na to na? Okay, let's start first with letting variables. Okay? Let x be the width sa rectangle na to and y be the length. Okay? So, of course, we have a primary equation. When you say primary equation, mo itong equation nga pinakagamit yun. And we are asked for the area, dimension nga maka-maximize sa area. So, atong primary equation must be the equation for the area. Now, the area will be x and y. X times y, which is width times length. Mo itong primary equation. Now, we are to find another equation class na ma-relate ang x ug y. Kung saan po kaha atong makuha ang secondary equation, that would be the perimeter. Because you're given a 20-inch wire, kining 20 inches diri, you are, yung technical na class is, imo i-relate sa equation na gamit, useful equation, to what is given. The 20 inches here will be the perimeter of your rectangle. Okay, it's always gonna be 20. Di ka pwede magbuot-buot dira og example, 6 by 7 kuno nga 6 by 7 niya. Dili naman na 20, sobra naman na sa 20 yung perimeter. Dapat within 20 na gyapon. So meaning we are constrained ta class sa atong perimeter nga 20. So kung naa kay perimeter nga 20, dapat isulat sa nato ang equation sa perimeter which is 2x plus 2y, ba? 2 times width plus 2 times the length. Now, natin value karon sa atong perimeter nga 20. So, ato na siyang i-substitute diri class. Equate nato ni 2x plus 2y to 20 so that we can get the expression of y para isa ra gid ka variable. Ang ato mong goal class is ang isa ka primary equation will be expressed into one variable only. Okay? Pwede x, pwede y. Nara sa inyo. In this case, I want to express y in terms of x. Okay? Based sa perimeter nga equation, I get 10 minus x na y. Okay? Kanina din akong i-insert karon sa area. Kanina value, ibutang na ko dira class. Okay? That's why we have x times 10 minus x. Okay? Muna itong area. And then distributing that, we get 10x minus x squared. Okay? Muna itong area. Okay? So, muna itong equation sa area class. How do you apply the knowledge on relative extrema na dayon? Okay? We apply the knowledge on relative extrema to get the maximum area. Now, how do we get the maximum area? Of course, when the derivative, ana nga point sa imong area class, sa imong graph, kay 0. Okay? Maximum or minimum, na ana. Ang technique ani is, kung kung example, assignment ko, quiz ko, mag-graph ko daan class para kabalo ko sa akong i-visualize. Pero kung wala gani kay means to graph, then okay ra gyapon. Agi ra gyapon gani nga process. Okay? So again, how do you apply the knowledge? Of course, we get the first derivative of our primary equation. Our primary equation is the area. We get the first derivative na. Okay, we get 10 minus 2x. From here, differentiate 10 minus 2x. And then we equate it to 0. Okay, mo muna siya ang process class niya. Getting the values of x for which your first derivative will be 0 because that is the relative extrema. Okay? So, unsa ka nga value, mo na siya, unsa ka nga value sa x karon class, ang makapa-0 sa derivative. Because this value, mo ni siya ang atong maximum value sa area. Okay? So, equating it to 0 again, we get ganito x is equal to 10. X is equal to 5 ni dayon. Meaning, ang width di class, ang x di nga makapa-maximum sa area, makapa-maximum ani because that will have a prime is equal to 0, di ba? Ang derivative sa maximum, a prime is equal to 0. Ang makapa-maximum di class is when your width is 5 inches. Okay? So when your width is 5 inches, unsa karon imong value sa y? Siyempre, imong i-substitute diri sa y. Okay, so that is 10 minus 5. Na-add sa kay 5. Okay, so meaning di class, ang rectangle di class na makapag-give sa tuwa og maximum area, given ang perimeter mo kay 20 inches, kay 5 by 5. Again, as I've mentioned, square is a rectangle. Okay, so now, 5 by 5, 5. Kung 5, 5 natin nandira, okay, so that is a 20. So the area class is 25 inches squared. Okay, so to answer the question, the dimensions must be 5 inches by 5 inches to get the maximum area that is 25 inches squared. So ato ka tarong tanawon sa graph class. Ang i-graph na to class kani. Okay, what is kani siya kay ang x na to is mga width and then atong y karon sa atong graph class I know gagalet og y karon sa length pero it's just to assign a specific variable lang for the length. Pero actually, when we graph, ang A na to karon atong y-axis. Okay? And then x na to kay ang width. So meaning, kung tanaw na to karon ang graph class. Now, I know ang graph na to is padulong na naman negative value dyan. No? But in reality, wala man gito negative na measurement. So, ang magamit lagi na to class is kaning mga positive values dito sa ato ang first quadrant. Okay? So, di na ni-imay ng mga negative values. Okay, so karon kung makita niyo sa graph class, naraon, kani nga point ang atong relative maximum. So, kani siya nga point is 525. So, pasabutan na, our x, which is the width na to is 5, and it gives an area of 25 square inch. Okay? Kaya nga naman, kung ato siyang butang dali guys, for example, kanina, sa mga value. Example kanina lang. Example kanina, ito man siya, ay kasi lang ha. 2. Hindi siya exact class. Hindi siya exact. Kung saan may exact value. Wala mo siya exact value. Sige, butan na ito kuan class. Magletag x diri nga kuan. 2. Unsa man atong y karon? 10 minus 2, 8, diba? Okay? So, kana nga 2, diri siya dapat kanya 2. Okay. So, 2, kana siya, kana 16. Okay. So, okay. So, for example lang ha, wala ka balo, nag-trial and error ka. What if ang length kay 2? So, my y should be, from the equation 10 minus x, it should be 10 minus 2. And that is 8, diba? So, nadik yung rectangle dili nga 2 by 8. Okay, 2 by 8. Yeah, 20 naman na siya ang perimeter niya. Sakto, 20 minsan po na, di ba? 4 plus 16, so 20. Pero ang area ni class is just 2 times 8, that is 16 lang square inch. Okay, na siya dili dapat kini kana nga point. Okay? So, kung magsikan trial and error der class, dugay jud kaabot sa maximum. Okay, that's why niagi ta karon og kini nga process kay again, ang ato ang derivative ani nga point man kay 0. Mao na ato siyang equal to 0 derivative. Okay, mo ni pinakadali nga pamaagi. Okay, so I hope that's understandable. Let's go to the next one. Guidelines sa the class. Ito siya, murag kuan ba na siya? Example lang na siya. Okay. How do we get good? Yeah, how do we solve for some minimum maximum problems? Okay. So first is identify given quantities. Magiging ganina. And all quantities to be determined. If possible, make a sketch. Pwede ka mag-visualize yung class. Tanaw ni mo, magipanghatag sa mga values and then you relate it to the quantities nga gipangita. Okay? And then write a primary equation ayud kalimot kay diri gikan diri nato kuha natong derivative. Kanang primary equation again mo na siya ang quantity that is to be maximized or minimized depende. Okay? Nasa tong libro class different formulas from geometry, no? And that's very useful when we want to get or want to solve for minimum maximum problems. I think nasa kong yatag sa inyong book. Okay. Next is, of course, mga primary equations. Reduce the primary equation to one having a single independent variable. Morning, one class, morning gi-reduce na to nito x lang. Okay, kung xy, malibog ta na. Okay. Yeah, how do we reduce it to one single independent variable? Mao nang natin mga gitawag na secondary equations. Okay? From here, ipang-express na to ang different variables to one single variable lang, which is kung atong i-consistent nga x, then x na siya dira. Okay? So, and then after that, determine the feasible domain of the primary equation. So, di na kay siya critical, pero in a way, pwede mo gudin mo siya nilaon nga positive values sa siya tanan. Diba? And pag graph ni mo dira, again, katong emphasis ganyan, na mga negative values. So, di na may consider. Okay? Mo na siya, nag-emphasize siya dira nga, determine the values for which the stated problem makes sense. Na di na mag-make sense yung mga negative values dira, no? Because there's no negative measurement. Okay? Later, ato na makita. And then, determine na then the desired maximum or minimum value by the calculus techniques ng atong mga discuss. Okay? Let's have another example sa optimization. Sige. Suppose a manufacturer wants to design an open box having a surface area of 108 square inches as shown in the figure. So natin figure din, no? Open box daw siya class, open box. With dimension x by x, meaning ang iyang base is a square and then with a height nga h. Okay. What dimensions will produce a box with maximum value? Okay. So karon unsa na kuno nga dimension nga maximum iyang masulod diri. Okay? Pwede man good different nga niyo. Pwede man good nga na class. Okay? Pwede na 3 by 3, yan na kay height. 4 by 4, kay height. 5 by 5, din na ka na height. Basta ang iyang surface area, natay constraint class nga iyang surface area is 108 square inches. Asa ka karon ang maka-give og maximum volume. Kung magtanaw lang ka anak class, wala ka balon sa maximum volume kana wala ka balon. Okay? So now, ato tanaw ng given class, okay? Ato sa ta karon sa pag-define sa unsa given mga quantities na to. We have a surface area. Now, first is before ka magnahuna sa formula primary equation sa pagdira. Ato sa tanong ang given nga kasabot ba gid ta? Unsay pasabot karon sa 100 square inches nga surface area? When you say surface area, katong tanang area nimo sa all surfaces of your box, di ba? Now, dako kayo og kuan pod impact kung kasabot ka unsa kasabot sa open box. Okay? So ningon siya open box meaning naa kay isa diri kaning sa top nga wala siya surface. Sakto open gani. Okay? So meaning kung imong surface area is 108 square inches, pila ra day ka side sa box ang nay area. Okay? Now, in a cube class, you have 6 faces, di ba? Kung naka-close siya. Pero this is an open box, meaning, if you consider the surface area, 5 ra ka face or 5 ra ka side sa imuhang box ang naay area. Kani, okay? Kana, kaning likod, kaning kilid, and then katong base. Kana lang 5. If you total the area ng 5 class, mo na imuhang 100 square inches nga dapat surface area. Okay? And then now, unsa daw kuno ang dimension ani class that will produce a maximum volume. Okay. So karon pwede na ta kasabot na taon sa surface area nga 108. Diri na ta sa pag-define sa primary equation. Our primary equation is of course the volume. Now what is the volume of this box? The volume of this is kani siya imong base no times your height, correct? Now your base has a dimension x of x. Pasabot ani class, this should have the same value, x by x man. Unless man siya x by y, well, makakaasong tangali na siya value xy dito na ibutang ana. But since x by x man na, so that means ang atong volume is x by h. Okay? Or, simply put, that is x squared h. Okay, mo itong primary equation, the volume ana. Now, atong secondary equation will be, of course, the surface area. Surface area class will be kaning area ani plus area ani plus area ani plus area ani plus area ani. 5 ka buok. Okay? Pero dali ra ka siya class. Ngayon naman, ang kaning area will be x by x or x squared. Okay? And then, the other 4 areas will have the same area, which is, unsa man, ang area ani will be x times h. Okay, kanang area ni. Yang area po ni class kay kon magyapon na raw x by h magyapon. Kini siya is x by h gyapon, x by h. Okay, I hope niyo na imagine. Kini siya is x by h gyapon. So meaning upat ka x by h plus isa nimo ka base ni x squared. That is your surface area. So that is your secondary equation. Now, ato ning e equate to 108. Kaya mo na gihatag sa tuwa. Okay? Dapat 180 na siya always. And then, we express na dahil in class ang h into x para again, isa ra ka variable diha. Okay? So that is, we'll get an expression of h nga 108 minus x squared over 4x. Mao na din ito ang i-substitute diri. So we will have this. Okay? Tapos we simplify. Okay, we get this expression now. So, kana yung mga expression na. Katong hiingon tong last. Ato mo guning i-differentiate. Kaya ato mo ning pangitag maximum volume. So, the first derivative must be 0. Unya, ato na ni bulagol class para dalit na mag-differentiate. So, that will be 27x minus x cubed over 4. Okay. So, again, we get the first derivative. Okay, maximum volume man. Dapat 0 yung derivative at that point. So, first derivative will be 27 minus 3x squared over 4. Equate to 0. Tapos, unsa karon nga mga values ang makapa-0 ana? We get x squared is equal to 36. So, therefore, atong x is plus minus 6 ang roots niya. Pero, ang make sense nga value ani class of course is positive 6. Okay? Wala time measurement nga negative. So, meaning, ang ato ng nga value is ang positive 6. So, karon ang pasabot ani class is ang value de ani class should be 6 and h must be, kung atong i-substitute ang value diri sa ato ang atong h, we get 3 inches nga height. Okay, so meaning di ay ang makapa-maximize sa volume class with 108 square inches surface area must be 6 by 6 by 3. Okay? So, muna itong dimension nga, gikan ko 6 by 6 by 3 to produce a maximum volume. Now, wala man yun siya ipapangita sa tuwang kung saan yun ang maximum volume. Pero, it's good to know kung saan maximum volume. So, how do we solve that? Ato lang, i-substitute din. We have 6 squared times 3, 108 ang ato ang volume. Para ma-compare na to class. So, ato ang i-compare din sa ato ang mga boxes, no? And naghatag siya mga example din. So, if 3 by 3 by 8 and 1/4, iya yung volume na class is 74 and 1/4 ta. Kung 4 by 4 by 5 and 3/4, 92 ra volume. Kung 5 by 5 by 4 and 3/20, mo rin yung volume. Nya, kung 8 by 8, nya, 1 and 3/8, yung volume ko 88. And finally, we have 6 by 6 by 3, yung volume is 108. Okay? So, nakita na to class, sa tanang mga example diri, ang kini nga dimension sa box ang makahatag nito maximum value, 108. And ma-verify na ito sa graph later. Now, take note lang ni class ha, kini nga mga boxes, ako nang emphasize, tanan ni nga mga boxes class, ang surface area niya is 108. 108 yung surface area. Lahi-lahi lang siya dimension. And lahi-lahi lang siya volume. Okay, so if i-graph na ito ng kini class, kini siya, kini nga equation, volume, mo ni siya ang iyang kalabasan. Okay? Pero karon ang ato na i-consider, of course, ang first quadrant, again, ang mga positive values. So nakita nato karon na siya class. So, kanusaan mo maximum yung volume at 0.6. X is equal to 6. Ang 6 is the X, and then 108 is the volume nga value. Kung pangitaan nato karon class ang 4, kani siya. Example lang, random lang 4. Kanina siya nga value, be? 4, kini man nato ang 4, 6, 8. Yeah, kung 4 na siya, unsa man na siya nga value kani? Kani siya nga value, kani. Unsa man ang imong volume ani? Tura, imong volume is 92. Okay? So that's how you solve for optimization. Okay, ito sa karong class sa last example before I give you the related rates. Ma-search sa or. Tapos, okay, let's have this last problem. Medyo tricky lang niya, medyo lengthy, pero dali na po din siya sa class. Okay? So, two posts, one 12 feet high. Hinahinayin na to nasa drawing. Okay. 112 feet high. So, kanin. Muna siya ang isa ka post. And the other 20 feet high. Okay, 28 feet high. Stand down 30 feet apart. Okay, 30 feet doon siya kani-kani 30 feet. Yan na to pang ano naman ni x na 30 minus x. Basta kaya na siya is 30 feet. Always na siya 30. 30. Okay. They are to be stayed by two wires attached to a single stake running from ground level to the top of each post. So, yan eh. Na-stake dire. I don't know, makita ba ninyo? Na-stake dire, okay? Yan, nasa yung wire. Para ma-kuhan siguro siya, ma-stable ba, okay? Nasa yung wire dire, or string. So, pa dira, napos yung string dire. Pero kani siya klase, connected ni siya ng string. Ito yung string niya. Nani kay stake dire. Imong ibutang sa ground. Okay, attach mo sa ground para mas stable siya. Okay? Pangunta na karon, where should the stick be placed? Asa diri ma-place? Pwede diri ba siya? Ana? O diri ba siya? Kina stick. Asa mo na nga stick? To use the least amount of wire. Okay. Asa daw ko nato ibutang ang stick? Asa nga area daw. Basta within 30 feet nila between sa ilang duwa. Para daw, ang magamit ng mga wire is least amount of wire. Okay? Medyo challenging siya ang problem. No? Okay. So, hinahinayin na to, class. Nangutanong siya karon sa least amount of wire. So, kung may least amount of wire, dapat ang imong primary equation is the length of wire. Correct? So, based itong equation, based itong diagram karon, nani siya, kaninga length sa wire o kaninga length sa wire. Isa raman na siya, di ba? If you add that, that is the whole length of wire. Pero ato siyang gibulag-bulag kay maka-create man gud triangle dire. I-create triangle dire. Okay. Now, since this is 30 feet, pwede mag-assume class nga, anong value pa man ng x, diba? The x is the length sa imuhang, kung asa nimo ibutang ang imong stake, from the left. From the left. So, kung kaniyang x class, unsa may length ani? That is 30 minus x. Okay, again, 30 feet man sila apart. Okay? Okay, so na-define na nato ni. Again, ganun ginani nato siya para maka-create ta diri og duha ka triangle. Okay. So karon again balik ta sa tong primary equation. Ang primary equation nato diri gidenote sa tong diagram nga kani siya nga length is y, kani siya nga length is z. So that means the length of the wire is the total of that y plus z. Okay. So karon class, at gusto mo nato ni express into one equation lang. Oh, sorry, one variable lang. So ato sa pangitaan, kano sa asan to ma-relate ang y ug z karon? Okay? Y class is the hypotenuse of this triangle, correct? Now, if this is the hypotenuse, unsa man ang imong formula ana? Of course, y squared is equal to x squared plus 12 squared kani siya. Okay? So expressing y, nga y na dyan mabilin, that will be the square root of x squared plus 144. Okay? That's the secondary equation. Another secondary equation is your formula sa imong z. Z karong class is the hypotenuse of the bigger triangle. Okay? So that is z squared, ana, squared, is equal to 30 minus x squared, kani, plus 28 squared. Okay? So, getting z is squared and imutanan, and simplifying all of this class is gidiretso na nako, that would be x squared minus 60x plus 1684, and that's your another secondary equation. Kaya di ba pwede man ta multiple number of secondary equations? Okay. Ganun ginanin ako para ang y nimo class is expressed into x, ang z nimo is also expressed into x. Okay? Ayan na din na imo ipang-input diya sa imuhang primary equation para your primary equation will have only one variable, which is the x. Okay? Kaya nga naman, kani magong x class, mao na yung atong ipangita. Kaya mao ni siya, asa na to at ibutang ang ato ang stake. Okay? Mao ni siya ang x. Okay. So, getting the derivative or differentiating w, that is, medyo tricky no, kani siya itong raise to 1/2, gyapon. So, that would be chain rule. Okay, kana siya, derivative ani. Kini po siya is derivative ani. Okay, so simplifying all of that class, na makancel mo ning 2 dire. Ang mabili na is x sa babaw, dayon ato ning ipaubos. Square root of kana. Okay, plus, divided by 2 ni siya tanan, so that is x minus 30 all over square root of x squared minus 60x plus 1684. Okay? So, muna ni atong expression sa derivative of w. Okay. After that, unsa kaya sunod? Atong equate to 0. Yan naman. Equating this to 0, we will get the relative extrema, the relative extremum of our main equation. Okay. So, karon, equate na to 0, medyo taasasan din ni class. Equating it to 0 and get the value of x. Transpose this here. So, that will become negative. And then, cross multiply. Okay. Cross multiply na to ni, kani, o kana. Okay. After cross multiplying, we square both sides para mawalang radical sign. Okay. So, of course, mas-square ni siya. And then, of course, mawala imong radical sign. Square ni siya, mawala imong radical sign. Okay. And then, getting simplifying na tanan class, simplify na siya tanan, we will get the simplifying all of that, mga cancel na mga x to the third ni mo dira class, x cubed ni mo dira. Okay, so paki-check na lang ko, that's your task to do. Basta ang imong simplification is you will have this expression 640x squared plus 8,640x minus 129,600 is equal to 0. We want to get the roots of this, no? So we will factor that out. Sorry, we'll find the factors. So ang factors ana will be this. Okay? So factor ana will be equate na to 0. So x minus 9 is equal to 0. And then 2x plus 45 is equal to 0. Okay. So the values that will make this equation 0 are 9 and negative 22.5. But your negative is not realistic. There's no negative measurement. So ang ato rang i-consider ani nga measurement class is kaning 9. Okay? So 9 di ay, asa man ang 9 sa itong diagram? 9 will be this, kaning x dire. Meaning, from your left post, that will be 9 feet from your left post. Okay? So meaning, na dire ang stake di ay. And then, from here to here, sa imong second post, that will be 21 feet. So, Karon, unsa day ang iyahang value sa imong wire? Pila di ang length sa imong wire kung 9 kung diri na siya ibutang. Okay? Nara day siya class. Okay? So the graph of W, kung ato ning i-graph class kani mo ni siya itsura niya. Okay? So ang imo ding length class is 50. Okay? Beyond ana kung imo siya i-irog diri gamay class, pasabot ana, example irog nimo diri butang na to 20. Okay, kaning 20 ba kaning 20. So ibutang naman ay sorry. Man nagdapit ang 20 di. Butang na to diri ang 20. Nara kaning 20. So from left post man na kung 20 feet na siya, ibutang na to dira ang atong stake karon. Ang atong magamit nga wire class kay kana siya di ba kana? Nga ang length sa wire is taas na daw kaayo. Nara ang length sa wire na to is pila naman na 50 ka pin na. Okay, kani siya nga length. Samot kung sorry. Ang atong kuan class, aside from this one nga dili mag-make sense. Usa pa may dili mag-make sense. Dili na mag-make sense kung mobiyan 30 na nga ato ang kuano ato ang x, no? Kay of course, between naman sa ilahang. Dili naman pwede mag 31 dira. Though na siya value diri sa imong graph na 40 and 31, 30 and beyond, dili na siya mag-make sense. Kay pasabot na diri imong stake, di ba? Dapat between naman sa ilang duha. So ang mag-make sense sa gid nga domain is kani siya. Dira lang siya tama, no? Okay. Okay. And then ang pinakagamay nimo nga wire, length sa imong wire is kani nga point, which should be 9 feet from your left post ibutang ang stake. Okay, that's for optimization. Kapag mag-yaw-yaw. There's one to sa related rates class para mahumanigid ta. Pwede na niyo pause kung information overload mo diha. Okay, so I'll move on to related rates. Gamay ra ang problem ani class. This is application more on implicit differentiation. So kung kabalo mo implicit differentiation, good for you. Okay, nauna na ninyo, good for you. Okay, dali na kayo mo mag-solve ani. Pero need some analysis gyapon sa iyo. Okay, let's have okay, review sa tagamay sa related rates, implicit differentiation. So when you have this kind of expression, x cubed plus y squared, and we want to differentiate it with respect to x, of course, it will be 3x squared. And you have the same variable man, no? Plus 2y, na naka-x sa dy over dx. Okay. Pero what if you're differentiating with respect to time, with respect to t? So naka-x sa draw. For your x cubed, that will be 3x squared, na naka-x sa dx over dt, plus 2y dy over dt. Okay? Again, because your variable, wala naman ka nag-x dira, t naman ta. And this is very important kay kasi malimot mo ba? In real life problems, ang atong atong independent variable kay time naman, t. So we are differentiating with respect to time na always. Okay? Okay, so review taga may given class, this circle, no, with equation x squared plus y squared, so 25, we want to solve dy over dx by implicit differentiation when x is equal to 3. So ato sa pagkuha ng dy over dx. How do we get that? We use implicit differentiation. Okay, we differentiate both sides. Okay, dx that is 2x plus 2y dy over dx equal to 0. So that would be simplifying everything, we get dy over dx is equal to negative x over y. So how do we get the value na dayon when x is equal to 3? Now, x is equal to 3, di man siya complete nga point. So ato sa pangitaon class, ang y. Okay. Solve for y first for x is equal to 3. Now, this is a circle. So you will have 2 points. One is here and the other one is here. Okay. So we want to solve what is dy over dx or the slope at this point. Okay. Ato sa pangitaon class, when x is equal to 3, what is y? Ato siyang substitute dire. So you will have 3 squared plus y squared is equal to 25, you will get y squared is equal to 16. So, the square root of 16 plus minus 4. Okay? So, you will have 2 points. One is 3 negative 4, kani? And the other is 3, 4. Okay. What is the quantity na dy over dx, the slope? So, kung na itong 3 negative 4 dire, you will have a positive value, no? So, that is negative x over y, negative 3 over negative 4, that is 3/4. So at 0.34 po class kanina, you will have negative x over y, so negative 3 over 4. So you will have negative value. So that is correct. Okay, so review ra gini class, no? Ato ta karon sa real problem. Okay, so many related rates there. So this is a problem in related rates is one involving rates of change of related variables from the word itself, related rates. Na siya mga rate of change and they are related to each other and then how do we solve one variable or the rate of change of one variable. No? Okay. So in real world applications involving related rates, the variables have a specific relationships for values of t, where t is a measure of time. So later, makita nato na sa tong different examples. Okay. Moving on. Okay, guidelines sa data class. Usually, ang guidelines kay dili kay ninyo siya ma-remember no unless kung sige mong solve. Pero ato lang gyapon i-hatagalan. So first is we identify the given quantities and quantities to be determined. So same ra gyapon sa ato ang optimization ato yung subtone class so gihatag sa tuwa. And then write an equation involving the variables whose rates of change either are given or are to be determined. So how do you relate all the variables involved? And then next is using chain rule, implicitly differentiate both sides with respect to time. So basically, differentiating the equation that we have come up with, no, using implicit differentiation. After that, tanan na dahil makita na dahil mo class, depende sa gipangay sa problem, masolve na nito ang required rate of change. Okay? Kung sa mga example sa rate of change is like dy over dx, dx over dt, kana siya. Muna ang mga rate of change. Okay, derivative man ta. Okay. Example ana. For example, how do we model mathematically ang statement? For example, na yung statement nga the velocity of a car after traveling for 1 hour is 50 miles per hour. So let x be the distance traveled. So what is this 50 miles per hour in mathematical expression? This is dx over dt. And it's very important that you know how to express it into mathematical form. Kaya kung dili, wala yung gamit ang problem class. Di ka kasabot, di ka kasolve. Okay? Okay, next. Water is being pumped into a swimming pool at a rate of 10 cubic meters per hour. So when you see cubic meters, actually, kung wala gali giingon diya class, unsa na nga kind of, sana, nga variable or sana siya nga value, makabalo man ka based sa unit. Okay? Ningon siya dire, being pumped into a swimming pool at the rate of 10 cubic meters per hour. Cubic meters, ana, per hour. Per hour. Unsa man ang cubic meters? That is volume. Di ba? So that means V is the volume of water in pool. This cubic meters per hour is dV over dt. Okay? Since V is in meter cube and time nimo is in hour, therefore, kining 10 cubic meters per hour there is dV over dt. Okay, nga na siya class. And then, next is a gear is revolving at the rate of 25 revolutions per minute. Okay, one revolution is 2 pi rad. Okay, unsa man 25 revolutions per minute. So, unsa man tong model ani? Of course, the angle of revolution is theta. And kini per minute nimo, of course, kung per minute per time gina siya radians. So, naka 25 revolutions. So, 25 times 2 pi because one revolution is 2 pi radians. Okay? So, muna yung muhang d theta over dt. Okay, so those are just examples of how you model mathematically ang isa ka verbal statement. So, let's have an example. Okay. For example na, dire class. So, that lang nakudaan. Nasundan ni nani animation pero PDF na lang kapoy ng PowerPoint class. Sige. For example, you're observing. For example, you're Toby Macquarie class. You're observing a rocket launch from an observation post 5,000 meters from the launch pad. Okay. How do we visualize this one? So, nakakadire, for example, at this point, na observation post dire class. Okay. 5,000 meters away from you. So, ang distance mo dira, 5,000 meters. Okay. Mo yung launch pad. Okay. Now, when it reaches an altitude of 10,000 meters daw, hala, 10,000 meters. Sa'yo, meters. Tinigos po. 10,000. Wait lang ha, kay murag mali. Ako, 1,000 ako nagamit. Ay, 1,000 ako nagamit class. So, ato na ni Usbon. Ito yung Usbon na. Kay para kuan, gamay na akong Usbon sa kanila problem. So 1,000 meters then na siya. So dili kay siya realistic class. Mas nice itong 10,000 meters. But anyways, for the sake of the problem lang, sige. 5,000 meters. Okay? And then, nag-reach na siya altitude nga 1,000 meters. Abot niya 1,000 meters pasabot class. Abot na siya ani nga point. At 1,000 meters, dili nga point. Iya daw rate ana class, velocity, of course, that is 200 meters per second. Okay? Ang pangutan na karon, how fast is the rocket moving away from you at this moment? How fast daw? Saka, ano rate of change ani? From you, padulong sa kung asa ang imong rocket, no, at 1,000 meters. So, pwede niyo i-draw para mas ma-visualize. That is 5,000 meters. 1,000 meters, dire, kinina lang. Pwede ta of course, mag-let out mga variables para dali. You have x, pinato na yung x, mo yung 5,000 meters. And then y ni mo class, paabot niya 1,000 meters, di ba? And then, ang atong velocity 200 meters per second. So, kung nag-let tag y karong class, mo ni atong y class, no, 1,000 meters. It's only 200 meters per second. Of course, that is the change of y with respect to time. So, ato na siyang dy over dt. Okay, para consistent ang ato ang mga variable. Okay, balik ta ha. 200 meter per second is the dy over dt. Dali lagi ka na siya taon sa class kay. Kung asa na siya nga side, nya kung overtime na siya, of course, over dt, nya kung galit kag y, dira mo na yung dy. Okay? Dayon, unsa man ang gipangita? Kani ang gipangita class. Ang rate of change at from you up to the rocket, no, at this point. So the rate of change daw. So man the rate of change. Kung ang rate of change, over time, din na siya always. Okay? So, mag-let na karon og z na class. Tanto og z na siya para makakreate ang triangle. Ang rate of change ng kapangita class is actually the dz over dt. Okay? Ang rate of change ani nga kini nga point. Sorry, kini nga from you and the rocket. Okay? So, una ta class mag-list og given. Okay? Ang nakanindot ani kay as you solve more and more of this class, dali na lang kay siya. Okay? So, natay x diha nga 5,000. Okay? Unya, pangitaon sa nato yan dx over dt class. Okay? Nga naman, tanan nga mga variables class, pangitaon nato yung rate of change kay later, pag differentiate na to, musulpot na siya kalit. So, dapat natin value ana. Okay. Ato ta karon balik ta x kay 5,000 meters. Fix na siya. Yan nakabalo man ang fix. Wala makaga-move. Wala magiingon nga ga-move sad ka. Wala ni kaga-move. Nagtindog ka diha, ang lunch pad na sa dira. So your distance from the launch pad will always be 5,000 meters. So that is x is equal to 5,000. Now, unsa daw ang rate of change ana? The rate of change, of course, is the derivative of 5,000. The derivative of a constant number is 0. So in reality, aside from mathematically proven nato siya class na the derivative of a constant is 0, tanawa gani, wala kay rate of change. The idea is, ga-change ba ang imuhang distance from the launch pad? Di ba wala? Kaya wala man ka nag-move. Gatindog ramak dito. O ang launch pad, fixed na siya. So meaning, wala kay rate of change ani nga distance. Wala ga-change. So mo nang 0 siya. Okay. Next is ang y nimo. Y is 1,000. Unsa iyang rate of change daw? 200 meters per second. Okay? Mo ni mo dy over dt. And it makes sense nga naman, galupad man gud dira ang imo mong y is the height of your rocket no from the launch pad. So always siya always go move up. So meaning naa siya rate of change. And dili man gud siya ingon nga, ma'am, ang 1,000 lagi ma'am, di ba, if you get the derivative of a constant is 0. Dili. We are not getting the derivative of these numbers. Kini siya is the rate of change. Okay? Now, the rate of change of y is 200 meters per second, no, at this point. And it's always gonna change. Okay? It's always gonna change. Tanaw na mo class, asa mga variables ang kapang change? Ang y is changing because your rocket is going up. Ang imong y is always changing class. Dili man na siya always 1,000 meters. Kana lang siya, atong screenshot ba? At y is equal to 1,000. Later, maabot na siya taas. Okay? Meaning your dy over dt is not 0. Okay? I hope na-gets niyo. Next, Z. Ang Z na to is unknown. What kabaluan na. Next is DC over DT, unknown gyapon. Ga-change gyapon na siya. So, ang first ito makuha ni class is value sa Z. Okay? Asa na ito makuha na siya? Ikan dire mag-kwanta. Right triangle man no. So, this is a hypotenuse, ang Z na to. So, that is Z squared is equal to X squared plus Y squared. Okay? From here, makagets na makakuha na to sa Z because given mo tag X or Y. 5,000, 1,000. So we have Z as 5,000 square root of 5 meters. So meaning at this point, the screenshot na ito nga moment class, ang Z din na to is 5,000 square root of 5 meters at this time, no? Now, pangitangan na nato ang dz over dt. Kuha naman tag z. Okay? Ang ato yung pinaka goal kasi is dz over dt. Kuha na doon ang nidaan. Okay? So karon mag-implicit differentiation ta kay kanu sa man na to, kanu sa man siya mulugwa class of course if we differentiate. Diba? Di man na siya dili man na siya mulugwaan ning equation. Ato na i-differentiate ang kining equation. So both sides we differentiate with respect to time. We get kini 2z dz over dt. Ang x squared 2x dx over dt. Ang y squared 2y dy over dt. So ato na din ning ipa-isolate. So, we isolate that. Bili na ito na diya sa left. So, we get, makancel man ng mga 2 dira, no? So, that is x dx over dt plus y dy over dt all over z. And these are known values. Gikan din sa itong given ra, oh. X na to is 5,000. Okay? Kanan. dx over dt is 0. Ang y na to is 1,000. Okay? Substitute dy over dt, 200. Okay, all over z, ang z nakuha na to dire. Okay? Okay? So that's why we have finally dz over dt nga 80 square root of 5 meters per second. Okay, so meaning got change day siya class. At this instant lang, ang rate of change niya from you and the rocket is 80 square root of 5 meters per second. Okay, 13% na ako dito na to. Last lang din nga problem before I give you the last two problems. Kini siya exercise lang ninyo class. Yan na jud kini siya. It just needs time and analysis lang yun. Okay, last problem. Kini akong favorite nga problem class, okay? So, analyze na to niya sa mga irrelevant na details and then sa mga relevant. Okay, so, one rainy day, I think this is very famous problem. Nakita mo mga meme ano. Okay. One rainy day, a girl broke up with her boyfriend after being together for 8 long years. Pwede natin yung mga 11, no? Para cut nila yun gaya. So they decided to separate at a place where everything about them began at the same time. Okay. The boy is due north crying and running at the rate of 5 feet per second. And the girl is walking due east at a rate of 1 foot per second, thinking if she made the right decision. Okay, how fast are they separating from each other? 5 seconds after they started moving to a new life without each other. So, grabe ka, emote nga problem class. Pero, focus sa karon sige pangita class. Una ta sa first sentence. Kung relevant ba? One rainy day, I broke up with her boyfriend after being together for 8 long years. How is this relevant sa itong problem? Dili siya relevant. Wala dyan ka-relevance nga statement class. Now, they decided to separate at the place where everything about them began. Okay, this is relevant in the sense that you know nga they nagsugod sila sa isa ka point. Okay, common point, no? Decide to point at the place where everything about them begins. So, na siya common point. Ito na mo itong common point. Dili sila nag-break. Okay? At the same time, akan na nindot ani class, kaya at the same time, walay gauna sa ilaha. Walay na ulahi. So, same time sila. Dili ma-complicate anong analysis class tungod kay gadungan sila glakaw, gadungan sila separate. Okay? So, kana siya, gamit, relevant, yes. Next, the boys due north crying and running. Watay pake kung gahagol-gol, may gakatawa ba na siya. Basta ato lang concern is padulong siya north. Okay, padulong north si boy. Si boy dira class. At a rate of 5 feet per second. 5 feet per second, di agadagan siya. Okay. And the girl is walking wasag day pakik kung gawalk na siya. Basta kabalot nga, pa due east siya, east. Yan na, ganun sa right, si girl. Okay. Of 1 foot per second. So, naginihinay good si girl kasi, syempre, babae gusto pa managupuron good. So, thinking if she made the right decision, wala na ito pakik kung saan na yung gising. Di na relevant. Okay. So, ano itong mga relevant class? Again ha, from the point nga dili sila ga-start, dungan sa sila lakaw class, pero si boy, 5 feet per second gadagan pa north. Si girl, galakaw padlong east, 1 foot per second. Abang ta na karon, how fast are they separating from each other? 5 seconds. How fast daw? So, kana, from your girl, kanina na si girl dire, na po si boy dire, unsa daw, unsa ka pas sila ga-separate. So, kaniya itong distance nga i-measure karon. Okay, ang rate of change ana. Okay, 5 seconds after they started moving to a new life without each other, wala na paki kung saan na sila. Basta kay, direta, mag-concern, 5 seconds. So meaning, after 5 seconds, pwede na to screenshot ang moment class. Nga, pangitaw na ito, unsay distance ani, then unsay rate of change ani. So let's assume that si boy, muna siya ang x. Okay? Na x na gid niya. And then si girl, muna siya ang y. Okay? And then, kining distance nga separate sila class, muna siya si z. Okay? So, karon, if we list the given to si x, what kabalo, at 5 seconds, after 5 seconds, asa nakaha si boy, no? Wapat kabalo na. Pero kabalo to sa iyang rate of change. Yung rate of running or walking. So ba na? Basta kay 5 feet per second. So that is dx over dt. Ga-change man always si dx over dt. Okay? Ga-change man always. So na kay value. Si y, si girl, palong sa is, what's the kabalo after 5 seconds, asa na siya? Wala pa ta kabalo, masolve na to later. Pero ga-change siya always. No? Ga-change siya always iyang y. So, iyang rate of change is 1 foot per second. And then si z, of course, ga-change niya, wala ta kabalo, dz over dt, mo nitong gipangita later. Okay? So, para sa yapong class, we can create a right triangle kay dili man na siya ingon nga nag-angle yun siya dira, ningon man siya nga north or si east. Yeah, they will form a 90 degrees na triangle, di ba? So, that is very convenient for us to solve. So, z karon class will be z squared is equal to x squared plus y squared, no? Hypotenuse. Yan na. Okay. Pero, karon, wala man gud ma-input sa tong formula dia later. So, ato sa pangitaw ng x and y and z. Okay? So, how do you get, nalubat na ako class, how do you get the x? Of course, x, recall class that the velocity is equal to distance over time. So, distance karon ang unknown sa tuwa kaning x of y. That is the velocity times time. Natin velocity, nasa time. Okay, so 5, kani siya, 5 dx over dt, times 5 seconds, kanina siya 5 seconds. So, asa na siya after 5 seconds? 25 feet na daw siya. Ano siya dira? 25 feet na. Okay, mo mong x. And then your y class is the rate of walking ni girl nga 1 foot per second nga pabebe siya times 5 seconds, that is 5 feet. Okay, so meaning after 5 seconds napadala si girl dool pa kay si girl sa starting point 5 feet. Si boy kana dito sa 25 feet layo na siya, no? Karon unsa na value aning z na to? Ang z na to class is using this formula, we will get 5 squared of 26 feet. Okay, ganun daw siya. Now, as you can see class, pareha na siya formula dito sa taas, no? So, dali na. If we differentiate that, makakuha ta ni expression. Same gapon sa taas na problem. Now, input na nito kanan din ang value class. 25 times 5 plus 5 times 1 over katong z na to. So meaning, atong rate of change dahil nag-separate si boy o si girl kay 5.1 feet per second. So kana siya nga rate of change. Of course, pag maabot na si boy dira, na si girl kinapa dire, lain na ang yung rate of change na is lain na pag value. Okay? So that would be all. Okay, lobat na ko. And sakto ra pud kay class nga namoy duha ka problem din. Ako solution na ni. So if you want to know the solution, you can pwede ko ninyo ma-approach. Okay? Pero mas nindot nga you practice it by yourselves ansa. Okay? There are 2 problems malingaw man ni class. Now for solutions siguro sa internet para ma-check sa dinyo ba. Okay? So that will be all for related rates and optimization for the application of derivatives. I hope nalingaw mo and I hope nakasabot mo. So that would be all. Thank you for listening.